What hurts most is not the insult itself. It's the quiet moment you realize someone feels comfortable treating you as if your presence carries no weight. They interrupt you mid-sentence. They disguise disrespect as humor. They speak down to you, then act surprised when you pull back. Most people respond the same way. They explain, they defend, they raise their voice or swallow their pride. But each reaction gives power away because disrespect feeds on emotion. Stoicism offers a different path. The Stoics understood that control is not about dominating others, but mastering yourself. When you don't react immediately, the dynamic shifts. You are no longer being tested, you are setting the terms. Calm is not weakness. Calm is strength under discipline. In this video, you'll learn 5 Stoic ways to handle disrespect with clarity and self-respect. No drama, no explanations, just composed actions that make others think twice and reconsider their behavior over time, permanently. This changes everything. Way 1. The silent pause. Control the moment before it controls. Your disrespect almost always comes with a hook, a sharp tone, a sarcastic remark, a dismissive gesture. It's subtle but intentional. The goal isn't just to offend you, it's to pull a reaction out of you. Most people take the bait instantly. They fire back, they explain, they justify themselves. And in that exact moment, the power shifts. Not because the other person is stronger, but because they've succeeded in making you react on their terms. The silent pause is where Stoic control begins. This pause is not avoidance. It is not fear. It is a deliberate refusal to surrender the moment. When someone disrespects you and you don't respond immediately, something uncomfortable happens for them. The rhythm they expected breaks. The script they rehearsed collapses. Suddenly, they are the one exposed. Silence creates pressure. Think about how rare it is in modern life. We are conditioned to respond instantly. Messages, comments, confrontations. Silence feels unnatural, and that's precisely why it works. When you pause for 3 to 5 seconds, maintaining eye contact, relaxed posture, and steady breathing, you communicate something powerful without saying a word. I am not rushed. I am not shaken. I am in control. Most people underestimate how much authority is conveyed through stillness. The Stoics understood this deeply. They knew that emotional reactions belong to the external world, but restraint belongs to you. When you pause, you reclaim ownership of the situation. This pause does 3 things at once. First, it protects your emotional state. You're no longer reacting from anger, embarrassment, or surprise. You're choosing your response, not surrendering it. Second, it forces the other person to sit with their own behavior. Without your reaction to absorb the tension, they feel it themselves. Awkwardness arises. Self-awareness flickers. Sometimes guilt, sometimes uncertainty. Third, it establishes a boundary without confrontation. You haven't escalated. You haven't explained, but the line has been drawn. Imagine a meeting where someone cuts you off mid-sentence. Instead of pushing back immediately or shrinking into silence, you stop. You look at them calmly. You wait. That space speaks louder than interruption ever could. Often, they'll backtrack. Sometimes they'll apologize. Even when they don't, the room notices. The silent pause trains people how to treat you. Disrespect thrives on speed. The faster you react, the easier you are to manipulate. The pause slows everything down. It signals that access to you is earned, not automatic. This is not about intimidation, it's about composure. There's a difference. Intimidation seeks to dominate. Composure makes domination unnecessary. The key is consistency. One pause might surprise them. Repeated pauses retrain them. To practice this, start small. When someone makes a dismissive comment, don't rush to respond. Count slowly in your mind. Breathe through your nose. Keep your shoulders relaxed. Let the silence do its work. If you choose to speak afterward, do it calmly. Fewer words, lower volume, no emotional charge. Often, the pause alone is enough. Power line. The one who controls the pause controls the moment. This is the foundation of Stoic response. Before words, before boundaries, before walking away. Everything begins with the decision not to surrender the moment impulsively. Master this, and disrespect loses its leverage. Way 2. Stop explaining yourself. Dignity needs. No defense. Disrespect often invites a very specific trap. Not open conflict, but justification. Someone questions your choice, your boundary, your decision, and almost instinctively, you begin to explain. You offer context, you give reasons, you try to sound reasonable. What feels like clarity is often something else entirely. Surrender. Most people explain themselves not because it's necessary, but because they want approval. They want to be understood. They want to soften judgment. And in doing so, they unknowingly place themselves on trial. The moment you start explaining, you accept the premise that your choices require permission. Stoicism rejects this premise completely. And the Stoics taught that your responsibility ends with acting according to reason and virtue, not with convincing others. Marcus Aurelius warned against wasting life on the opinions of people who neither share your values nor control your actions. When you explain yourself to someone who has already shown disrespect, you reward their behavior with access to your inner reasoning. Explanation feeds disrespect. Think about how disrespect shows up. It's rarely a direct challenge. It's a tone, a raised eyebrow, a dismissive question like, "Why would you even do that?" The hidden message is clear. Justify yourself. When you comply, you shift the balance. You move from grounded certainty to defensive posture. You begin to speak faster. You add details. You try to sound convincing. And suddenly, the conversation is no longer about mutual respect. It's about whether your choice is acceptable. A Stoic does not play this game. Not because they are arrogant, but because they understand something deeper. Dignity is self-issued. It is not granted by consensus. Refusing to explain is not rude. It is clear. Clarity feels uncomfortable to people who rely on ambiguity to maintain control. When you respond with a simple, calm statement, "That's my decision," or "I'm comfortable with it," you remove the opening they were looking for. There is nothing to argue with, nothing to twist, nothing to debate. This does not escalate tension. It settles it. Most disrespectful behavior persists only because it is rewarded with emotional labor. When you stop providing that labor, the behavior loses its function. Consider a familiar scenario, and a colleague questions your boundary. "Why aren't you staying late like everyone else?" The reflex is to justify deadlines, family, exhaustion, but every added reason invites negotiation. A Stoic response is shorter. "I'm unavailable tonight." Nothing more, nothing less. Notice what happens next. The pressure dissolves, or it escalates briefly before collapsing. Either way, you have preserved your position. This is not silence. It is self-respect expressed through restraint. The Stoics were not passive, they were precise. They spoke when speech served virtue, and they withheld when it served ego or fear. Explaining yourself to someone who disrespects you is rarely an act of virtue. It is often an act of self-doubt disguised as politeness. When you stop explaining, so you force others to confront a boundary they cannot cross through persuasion. Some will resist. Some will label you cold or difficult. That is the cost of clarity. But something else happens too. People who respect strength adjust. They listen more carefully. They test you less. Practice this deliberately. prepare 1 or 2 closing statements in advance. Short, calm, neutral. That's my choice. I'm not discussing that. I've already decided. Say them without apology, without irritation, without elaboration. Your tone matters more than your words. Calm confidence communicates finality. Power line. You don't owe explanations to people who show you disrespect. This principle changes how others approach you. Over time, fewer people attempt to cross lines that no longer bend, and with each moment you refuse to explain yourself, you reclaim something essential: authority over your own life. The Stoics knew this well. Your peace does not come from being understood. It comes from being aligned with yourself. That alignment is felt and respected, even in silence. Way 3. Hold your frame. Never shrink under pressure. Disrespect only works when it pulls you out of your center. Most people think disrespect is about words, insults, sarcasm, tone. But in reality, it's about frame. The unspoken question beneath every disrespectful interaction is this: who sets the emotional and psychological terms right now? When someone speaks over you, mocks you, or tests your boundaries, they are probing for instability. They are watching closely to see if you shrink, rush, justify, or emotionally react. The moment you do, your frame collapses, and theirs expands. Stoicism teaches the opposite response. A Stoic holds their frame regardless of pressure. Your frame is the combination of your posture, tone, pacing, and emotional steadiness. It is how you occupy space, internally and externally. When you hold your frame, you are not trying to dominate the situation. You are refusing to be displaced from yourself. This is why people who remain calm under pressure feel intimidating without ever raising their voice. Their power is not loud, it is stable. Think about the last time someone disrespected you. Chances are your body reacted before your mind did. Shoulders tightened, voice changed. Breathing became shallow. That physical shift is the first sign of a broken frame. The Stoics paid close attention to this. They understood that the body and mind are linked. If your body collapses, your authority follows. Holding your frame starts with stillness. When confronted with disrespect, most people lean forward emotionally. They engage too quickly. A Stoic does the opposite. They slow down. They remain physically open but grounded. Want shoulders relaxed, chin level, eyes steady, not aggressive, voice calm and measured. This posture sends a message before words ever arrive. I'm not threatened, and here's the crucial insight. You don't need to win the exchange. You only need to not lose your frame. When someone senses that they cannot unsettle you, the dynamic shifts. Their disrespect no longer lands. Their tone softens or becomes uncertain. Even if they continue, the interaction stops feeding them the response they seek. Frame is why some people are never disrespected twice. It's not because they are feared. It's because they are unreadable under pressure. Marcus Aurelius wrote about remaining the same person in every situation, praised or criticized, welcomed or opposed. This internal consistency creates external authority. People instinctively respect what cannot be shaken. Consider a workplace scenario. A colleague makes a dismissive comment during a meeting. You don't rush to defend yourself. You don't interrupt them back. You maintain posture. You wait until the moment is right. Or you say nothing at all. The room notices. Holding your frame also means resisting the urge to prove yourself. Proof-seeking is a sign of insecurity. Stoic confidence is quieter. It does not ask for validation. This is where many people fail. They believe confidence is something you perform. In reality, confidence is something you withhold. You withhold emotional leakage. You withhold reactive explanations. You withhold nervous energy. The absence of reaction becomes your signal. Over time, this trains people around you. They learn that provoking you leads nowhere, that attempts to undermine you don't work, that access to your emotional space is limited, and people treat you accordingly. Practice holding your frame daily, not only in big confrontations, but in small moments. When someone rushes you, slow down. When someone speaks sharply, soften your tone. When someone tests you, remain neutral. These micro-adjustments build an unshakable presence. You don't need to stare people down. You don't need sharp comebacks. Those are fragile forms of power. Real authority is quiet and repeatable. There will be moments when holding your frame feels uncomfortable. Silence may feel awkward. Calm may feel unnatural when adrenaline rises. That discomfort is training. Stoicism is not about comfort. It is about command. Power line. When you don't shrink, they hesitate. This is the turning point. Once you master your frame, disrespect loses its leverage. Words bounce off. Tension dissipates. And even when someone continues to test you, they are doing so against a wall they cannot move. Hold your frame long enough, and you won't need to assert respect. It will already be assumed. Way 4. Reduce access. Not everyone deserves a seat in your life. One of the most misunderstood Stoic principles is this: you are not obligated to keep everyone close. Many people tolerate disrespect far longer than they should, not because they lack awareness, but because they confuse endurance with virtue. They believe that staying available, staying polite, staying connected makes them strong. In reality, it often makes them accessible, and access without standards invites misuse. The Stoics believed deeply in boundaries, even if they didn't use the modern word for it. Seneca warned that we suffer more from unhealthy associations than from hardship itself. Who you allow near you shapes your emotional climate, your clarity, and your peace. Reducing access is not punishment, it is alignment. When someone repeatedly disrespects you, and argues your boundaries or subtly undermines your self-worth, the Stoic response is not confrontation by default. It is distance, calm, intentional, and quiet. This is where many people struggle. They think distance requires drama, announcements, explanations, final speeches. It doesn't. Distance works best when it's understated. Reducing access means you change how much of yourself someone can reach. Not out of anger, out of self-respect. You reply less, you share less, you engage less emotionally. The relationship doesn't explode, it simply loses oxygen. Disrespect often survives because access remains unlimited. Think about it. Someone speaks to you dismissively, yet still has full access to your time, attention, and emotional labor. There is no cost, no adjustment, no consequence. From their perspective, nothing is wrong, and a Stoic introduces consequences without confrontation. Not through threats, but through availability. When access changes, behavior is revealed. Some people notice and correct themselves. Others grow irritated. A few disappear entirely. Each outcome gives you clarity, and clarity is power. Reducing access is a form of self-respect others can feel. This doesn't mean you become cold or cruel. Your tone can remain polite, your demeanor calm, but your availability becomes selective. You don't owe explanations like, "I just need space right now." You don't need to justify your absence. You simply become less present, and presence is currency. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily that he was not born to please every temperament, but to live in accordance with reason. Reason sometimes requires stepping back from what drains you. Consider a familiar situation. A friend constantly makes cutting jokes at your expense. You've addressed it before. It continues. The Stoic response is not another emotional conversation. It is adjustment. You stop being as available. You don't initiate. You limit the environments where that behavior occurs. You remain courteous, but distant. What happens next tells you everything you need to know. This is where fear often appears. People worry, what if they get upset? What if they think I'm rude? What if I lose the relationship? Stoicism answers clearly. If a relationship requires self-betrayal to survive, its loss is not a tragedy. Reducing access protects your internal order, and internal order is worth more than social approval. Over time, people learn your boundaries without you stating them. They learn that disrespect leads to distance, respect leads to closeness. You don't need to teach this lesson verbally. Your behavior teaches it for you. This is not avoidance, it is governance. You are governing your life the way a wise ruler governs a city. Not everyone gets full access to the inner chambers. Some belong at the gates, some outside the walls entirely. Stoics believed peace was not found by changing others, but by arranging one's life intelligently. Reducing access also gives you space to observe. When you're no longer emotionally entangled, you see patterns more clearly. You notice who respects you only when convenient, who values you only when you're useful, who disappears when you stop overgiving. Those observations are invaluable. Practice this deliberately. Audit your inner circle. Ask yourself, who leaves me calmer after interaction? Who leaves me tense, defensive, or diminished? Then adjust accordingly. You don't need to confront everyone you distance yourself from. Most boundaries are strongest when they are quiet. Let your availability reflect your standards. Power line. Distance is not rejection. It is self-respect in action. When you reduce access, disrespect has nowhere to land. The dynamic either improves or dissolves. Both outcomes serve you. And once you experience the peace that comes from protecting your inner space, you'll realize something essential. Not everyone deserves proximity to your life. Only those who can meet you with respect. Way 5. Walk away without drama. The final line of power. There is a moment when every Stoic lesson converges into a single decision. You've paused instead of reacting. You've stopped explaining yourself. You've held your frame. You've reduced access. And still, the disrespect continues. This is where many people hesitate. They hope things will change. They wait for an apology. They search for closure. But Stoicism teaches a harder, quieter truth. Some situations are resolved not by engagement, but by departure. Walking away without drama is not quitting. It is choosing not to waste what is irreplaceable. Your time, your energy, your attention. Drama is what disrespect wants. Disrespect feeds on reaction, explanation, and emotional loops. When you announce your exit, argue your reasons, or make a final speech, you give it one last meal. You remain entangled even as you try to leave. A Stoic exit is different. It is calm, it is clean, it is final, without being loud. You don't threaten, you don't justify, you don't look back to see if they noticed. You simply stop participating. This is the point of maximum self-respect. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that he could leave any situation that violated his inner order, not with anger, but with composure. Walking away is not about punishing the other person. It's about restoring alignment within yourself. Silence at the end speaks the loudest. Think about how unsettling it is when someone doesn't argue back, doesn't plead, doesn't explain. They just disengage. No explanation means no opening. No closure means no leverage. The absence becomes the message. Most people are unprepared for this. They expect resistance. They expect emotion. When neither comes, they are forced to confront the outcome of their own behavior. Sometimes they reflect. Sometimes they rationalize. Sometimes they tell stories about you. None of that is your concern anymore. Walking away is not emotional detachment. It is moral clarity. You are not suppressing feelings. You are choosing not to act from them. You are saying, without words, "This no longer deserves my energy." This is especially powerful because it doesn't seek validation. It doesn't ask to be understood. It doesn't require agreement. It simply ends the exchange. Consider how many people stay trapped in cycles of disrespect because they keep one foot in the door. They respond occasionally. They check messages. They re-engage just enough to reopen the wound. A Stoic closes the door gently and doesn't rattle the handle afterward. The rule is simple. No react, no justify, no return. No react, you don't give emotional fuel. No justify, you don't explain your exit. No return, you don't re-enter the dynamic to see if it changed. This is discipline, and discipline is freedom. Walking away without drama also requires trusting yourself, trusting that you don't need external confirmation to leave, trusting that peace is a sufficient reason. Many people stay because they fear being misunderstood. But Stoicism reminds us, misunderstanding is preferable to self-betrayal. The strongest people leave quietly. They don't announce growth. They don't narrate boundaries. They don't seek applause for self-respect. They simply move on. And something subtle happens when you do this. The weight lifts. When the mental noise fades, you regain focus. You realize how much energy was being drained just to maintain contact. That clarity is addictive, in the best way. Walking away also sets a standard for your future. It teaches you what you will and will not tolerate again. It sharpens your discernment. It raises the bar for who gets access next time. You are no longer negotiating your worth. You are enforcing it. Practice this with intention. When you decide to walk away, do it cleanly. No long messages, no emotional explanations, no final arguments. If words are required, keep them brief and neutral. Then disengage fully. And once you've walked away, stay away. Not out of bitterness, but out of respect for the decision you made. Power line. The strongest response is knowing when you're done. This is the final Stoic move. Not confrontation, not domination, but discernment. When you walk away without drama, you leave nothing behind for disrespect to grab onto. And in that silence, in that absence, one thing becomes unmistakably clear. You chose yourself. You've just walked through 5 Stoic ways to handle disrespect. Not by becoming louder, colder, or aggressive, but by becoming grounded, disciplined, and unshakable. You learned how to pause instead of reacting, how to stop explaining yourself, how to hold your frame under pressure, how to reduce access without drama, and finally, how to walk away calmly when a line keeps being crossed. None of these moves are about controlling other people. They are about controlling yourself. And that is where real power begins. The Stoics never promised an easier life. They promised a stronger one. A life where your peace is not rented out to every careless comment or disrespectful tone. Now comes the most important part. Practice. Don't try to use all 5 at once. Choose one. Apply it the next time you feel tested. Feel the difference when you don't react impulsively. Notice how people adjust when your standards are no longer negotiable. If this video resonated with you, take a moment to acknowledge yourself. Growth like this is quiet, but it compounds. Thank you for spending your time here. If you value calm strength, inner discipline, and Stoic clarity, stay with us. There's more ahead. Until the next video, remember this: you don't react. You choose your power.